Now, because of her message last week, her message was entitled, I Give You Permission to Fail, to moms because of the pressure they have on them to be perfect at everything that they do. She talked about that, and as I was watching it, is something that, as I've been having conversations with people in this church and people around, I realized that there's an underlying idea, there's an underlying thing that we do that we may not necessarily know that we do it all the time. I don't think we're even aware of how often we do it in our own lives. But it underpins this issue that affects us all. It's a big word that impacts us all. It makes us laugh and it makes us cry. It makes us proud and it strips our pride. It divides us, or it drives us to succeed and makes us throw in the towel. It makes us feel big and it also makes us feel very small. It builds us up and it tears us down. And this underpinning idea, this thing that I want to talk about this morning, when I was watching, I realized, man, I do this all the time, and people I talk to, we do it all the time. This thing that we do that does all this for us, it either drives us and we feel great about ourselves in one moment, and the next moment we feel like a complete and utter failure. Anybody with me here? I mean, have you felt like a failure in your life ever? And have you also felt like, I think I might be the best person in the world at this? Like I did. You ever just do a garden or paint your fence and you stand back at the end of the day and you go, that looks good. Why would I ever hire a painter? I'm fantastic at this. Or you bake cookies and you're like, those aren't burned. They're a little crisp. This is the way cookies are supposed to be. A little crispy on the outside and chewy on the inside. That's how it should be. And you made those cookies or that brownie and you go, wow, that's the best cookie I've ever tasted. It's great. And this idea that I'm talking about today, it's a long word, and it messes with us for a long time in our life if we don't understand that it is a major part of our life, and it drives us either upward or backward, forward or backward. And this word I'm talking about is what? Anybody get it yet? It's comparison. Comparison. I mean, you compare yourself. I mean, I did it already this morning. I compared myself with Amanda. She got more YouTube video views than myself. We've made the internet a place where we can find out how well we do against all the other people in the world. We do it on social media all the time. You put your picture up there, and this happens all the time. You put your picture up there, and or a comment, and you sit back and you go, anybody like that? How many comments did it get? Well, how come my friend got 42 comments on his and mine only has 3? How come this happened? Why isn't my picture? And then people put their picture up there, and it's like if it doesn't get commented on or liked, then they take it down. The reality is it's not something new that we're doing. We've done it all along. If you're a mother, have you ever compared yourself to another mother? Have you compared yourself to another grandmother? Have you compared yourself to a coworker? Have you compared yourself to another husband or a spouse or your sibling? We start early on, right? Vying for, we want mom and dad's attention. We want that, so we compare. Well, I do that better than Jamie does. I do that better than Jen. Look at how I cleaned up. I eat good all the time, don't I, Mom? Not like them. I clean my room all the time. No, you never clean your room all the time. Kids never clean their rooms all the time. It never happens. They think they might. They don't ever do it. It's this word comparison. And I'm not saying comparison is always bad. It's not always bad. Like I said, these first things, it makes us laugh. Is laughing good? Well, if you're not laughing at something that's very morbid. But yes, laughing is a good thing. It makes us feel good. It makes us proud. Sometimes pride can be good. Sometimes just being prideful in what you've done, taking pride in your work is a good thing. It drives you to do better. It drives us to succeed. It makes us feel big sometimes. Like, wow, I feel like I could accomplish anything. And that drive is something that's very good because it pushes us on to do greater works, to do greater things. Comparison can do that when we say, wow, that was that way. I took my spin on it and the abilities God's given me, and we did it this way, and it worked. Wow, isn't that cool? It's actually working. It makes us feel big. It builds us up to we don't all have great self-esteems. I mean, we may put it on our shirt. It might say, man, I really like myself. But the reality is what happened? We had another rocker die this week. Suicide. Right after playing a show where thousands of people cheered him on, right? And went into a room and killed himself. Because the reality is we don't feel as good on the inside most of the time as we project on the outside because we compare ourselves with people around us who are in like situations. We do it regularly. We do it constantly. And I'm not saying comparison is all bad. I've listed a lot of those good qualities, but in America, we've taken comparison to new heights. Now, I was doing some research this week, and at Penn State, the college, the university, they have a term. It's called the Penn face. The Penn face. And what the Penn face is, it describes the practice of acting happy and self-assured even when you're sad or stressed. Penn face is so widely employed that it has shown up in skits performed during freshman orientation. So freshmen going into Penn State know that there's this thing that you've got to look like you're all that from the very beginning, and it's become something much larger than itself. And it's this culture that's in Penn State because everybody has to succeed. Everybody's got to be great. We all have to thrive. And this is really just a microcosm of life, right? And there's this thing that the freshmen do when they come in. They already know about the Penn face. What do? They make skits kind of mocking it. But the reality is they're probably putting their Penn face on, right? They're putting their Penn face on. Just like we do as adults, we put our game face on. We put, it blows me away. My kids will be crying as they go out to the car to go to school in the morning. And no matter what, it doesn't matter what happened in their life, and they could be bawling in the car as we drive up or my wife drives up. As soon as that minivan door opens, what happens? Boom, happy, ready to go. Tears are wiped off. Kids are good to go. They know it even from a young age. You ever answered the phone, like when we used to actually answer the ringing phone in the house? You might be chewing on your kids or things are going bad and you just got really bad news. Someone calls you, go, hello? Oh yeah, I'm doing great, Jennifer. How's it going with you? Really, it's not going great at all. But we put our Penn face on. At Duke released a report describing how its female students felt pressure to be effortlessly perfect. Perfection is never effortlessly. First off, there's no such thing as perfection. But, my wife called me this morning and she said, do you know where the hairspray is? Can you go out of the house without hairspray? Yeah, you can. You can go out of the house without hairspray, but we want to look good when we go outside, right? But that doesn't happen effortlessly. It takes a lot of effort to get up, brush your teeth, get your clothes picked out, do your hair, take a shower. It's not effortlessly, but there's this culture at Duke where female students feel the pressure to effortlessly look perfect, smart, and accomplished. Beautiful and popular, all without any visible effort. Like they just wake up in the morning, boom, I'm golden. Look at me. Well, I have life by the horns. At Stanford, it's called the duck syndrome. A duck appears to glide calmly across the water while beneath the surface, it's frantically and relentlessly paddling with its legs. I thought that was a great just picture of what life can be like. On the outside, it all looks like everything's going well, but we are frantically trying to stay above the bills and ahead of the collectors and in competition with our peers at work and with the moms at daycare and whatever we're trying to do. We're trying to make it look like, oh, everything's all good, but we're frantically trying to make our life stay above water because we believe that we're going to sink if we just give up. See, comparison is present everywhere. We try to present ourselves in the best possible light to our own demise. You know what I love about this place so much, getting to know you guys, is that if you came over to my house and knocked on the door and woke me up, like I look all right today, I got a clean t-shirt on, there's no wrinkles on it, I've got some jeans on. By the world standards, this is a comfortable, casual look. I don't look like I'm a mess, I'm clean. My hair is combed. I look all right, as good as I can for 40. Unless I put a tuxedo on, Boom. Just kidding. But I can look good. But the reality of what I love about this place is that we can be who we are. If you came and knocked on my door at 6 a.m. and woke me up and you were standing outside the door, I wouldn't be embarrassed and run to the mirror and go, you know what? I got to brush my hair. They can only see me in the light that they see me on the stage here. And beyond my physical looks, I want you guys to know my failures too. I want you to know that I don't have a perfect life. I don't have a perfect marriage. My kids are not perfect. That we had a little cry fest last night just before they went to bed. because it wasn't a perfect evening. As much as I thought it would be a perfect evening, I sent them upstairs to clean their room, and they came down, and what was the report? It's clean. When I went up to put them in bed, was the room clean? Bingo, you guys are brilliant. It was not clean. So we had to have some conversations last night. See, this idea, it's present everywhere. Social media just exacerbates the problem, I think. We honestly have, I don't even know how we're going to monitor this with my kids, because we have teenage girls from the age of 11, 12 years old who are making themselves up and taking 45 selfies to get the one that they think is just right to put on Instagram to see if people will accept them. And because they may not get as many likes as they think they should have got, because their friend got more likes on the picture that they posted 5 minutes before that they liked, and their friend didn't like their picture, the reality is that it crushes their self-esteem. And they're having eating disorders. This isn't anything really new. It's just exacerbating the problem. And the reality is it just continues on in life. I mean, think about it. Have you ever, there's a phrase, right? Keeping up with what? The Joneses. Well, that's comparison. Well, if I was smarter than my friend in high school, how come he owns a house and we're still renting? I got to get a house, and maybe I'll do some things to go into debt to get the house so that I can keep up with the Joneses in a lifestyle that I can't afford. And we compare, and it can lead us down this road that's very detrimental. See, in our minds, comparison, it's really a triple threat to our psyche. We compare ourselves to others. We do that all the time. Oh, I'm a better mom than them. Oh, I'm a better dad than he is. If he can only do it or we compare ourselves to others and go, how do they do what they do? They have 5 kids. I only have 2, and I can't get out the door. And they go to soccer and baseball and this, and their kids this and that, and they won the medal for this, and so on and so forth. And they go to this camp, and they're always doing everything that looks perfect. We compare ourselves to others. Secondly, we compare ourselves to our own ideal. The reality is, you have an ideal in your own mind. There's a version of yourself that's better than in your mind, that is better than who you are right now. Right? We always think we can be better at something, don't we? Like I could be better at that. I could do this. I can get that job. I can achieve. And when we don't, we look at ourselves and we go, oh, I'm a failure. When we don't become that person, we try to measure up to our own ideal. And then we also look in the rearview mirror, don't we? Oh, I could have been a better dad. And I think the older we get, we look back. And instead of being the best grandma, grandpa, dad, mom, whoever, friend, mentor in that moment, we're looking back and we're saying, oh, I could have been better there, could have been better there, could have been better there, and taking our eyes off what is current, what is in the moment, that's going to allow us to be the best person that we can possibly be. So comparison has many ways of wrecking our lives, sending us in the ditch because we're comparing ourselves not only to others, but to an ideal of ourselves or how we could have been better. Has any of you ever seen a real time machine where you could go back in the past and fix something that you did wrong? It's not even possible. It's not even possible. I mean, theoretical physicists think that there is a possible way that we could time travel, but time travel doesn't happen like it did in Back to the Future. There's no possible way of going back in time. They only believe that there's a way to go forward in time. It's not even possible, and yet we spend so much time looking backward at our failures, at our mistakes, and what does it do to our current self? It wrecks us, takes us off our game, gets our focus off the prize of becoming who God's called us to be, who He designed us to be in this moment for the people who are in our lives at this time. We can never fix what has already passed. All we can do is continue to do what we need to do going forward. So comparison is a triple threat in our life. Now, you've heard this. Does a square peg fit in a round hole? Go ahead and put that up. I found this quote when I was reading, and I thought this was very good. It's an autism quote. It says, the problem with trying to fit a square peg in a round hole is not so much the amount of time and effort and frustration of forcing the fit, but that you end up damaging the peg. When we compare ourselves to how a square peg should fit into a round hole, if I could only be a better wife, if I could only be a better husband, if I could only have done that differently, if I could only be a better grandmother or a friend or a child, if I could only be trying to fit into a round hole as a square peg, it doesn't fix anything going forward. All it does is damage the peg. And what we're doing, comparing ourselves to people on the outside, a quote unquote better version of us, is damaging ourselves in the process. And we wonder why things tend to get worse when we compare ourselves. Why? Because we're damaging us. We're making ourselves worse just by comparing ourselves, trying to fit into a position, a place, an ideal of who somebody else should be, or this image that you think it should just be this way right now. I should be achieving more than I am right now. And we hurt ourselves and we damage ourselves in the process. What I want to say to you today is God is never, ever, 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 ever looking to love version 2.0 of you. He loves you just the way He made you. He loves you the way that you are now. He's not waiting for you to fix yourself up and be a better version of yourself or be like your friend Sally. The reality is He didn't make you like your friend Sally or like your friend Joe. He made you different, and He made you different for a reason, because He has a different plan for you and purposes for you that only you can do. This phrase gets thrown around, you be you. You know, I as a pastor, here we are. There's about 50 or 60 of us that call this our church home. We have other people that drop in and some people that pop in from time to time. But regularly, children and adults. Now, I can look at many other churches around the country and go, wow, they have 100 people. I can look at my pastor friends who have a church that has 100 people and I go, man, he must be way better than me at what I do. And I should just quit, because I'm never going to be as good as Mike. I'm never going to be as good as Ken. Ken's got 3 times as many people going to his church. They must like him more. God must love him more, want to bless him more. I can look at it that way, or I can continue to be here for you and with us to lead us in what God has said this local congregation is going to be, and how it's going to grow, and how its people are going to grow inside out, not numerically necessarily. God does that. He brings people in as He sees fit. My goal is to help us grow into the image of God so that we can reflect Him well to a community who is lost and dying in a world out there. It doesn't matter whether there's 12 of you or 42 of you. And honestly, it gets really difficult when there's 100 of you, because I've stood on a stage like this instead of in front of hundreds of people 3 times on a weekend, and it'll drive you crazy trying to get life change to happen because you don't even know who's there. I've stood there and had 900 people funnel in and preach the message same time because we didn't have enough seats for everybody. I've been there, and the reality is, it's like, man, we have a lot of people coming, but I don't know what's going on in their life at all. Do we even make a difference? Is there an impact? I don't know. They won't even be back for 5 weeks. You know, people can just come and go and disappear, and I think I saw them about 6 weeks ago. We would have conversations. Have you seen so-and-so? I don't think it's been like 3 or 4 weeks. I don't know. And I can compare myself to other pastors, other people, other dads, and all it does is what? It damages me in the process, which takes me off the game that is the main thing, which is being who God has called me to be. Your friend, your partner, your leader for this time. Teach the best that I can. Follow me. Let's go love people well. Let's serve people well so they can see Jesus in what we do. See, I'm never going to fit in a round hole if I'm a square peg without damaging myself. And when we choose to damage ourselves to fit in that, what we're really saying is this, and I want you to pay close attention. God, you didn't know what you were doing when you made me. That's like a pot telling the man who made it, you made me into the wrong pot. I was supposed to be a large pot for wine, not a pitcher for pouring water. And we don't get to do that. It's not our plan. God made you uniquely for specific purposes. And when we focus on him, we don't have to compare ourselves to people who are around us. We just have to know that we're loved by God, and that he cares for us, and that he calls us all sons and daughters, all of us. And I don't want my daughter, Portia, to be just like my daughter, Gianna. Now, Portia came first, and if Gianna thought all I ever wanted was to love my daughter, and I want my favorite daughter is Portia, then what would Gianna do? She'd want to try to be just like Portia. No, I don't want that. Just like I don't want that for my girls. I want to see who they become as their specific gifts and their talents begin to grow. Just like with my little girls, they're going to be two completely different girls, even though they came from the very same parents. And I want to nurture and I want to grow them. The same thing is true of God. One of them might have 14 kids and one of them might have 2. And I'm never, ever, ever going to think, well, how come you only had 2 kids and I got 14 grandkids over here? You're never going to live up to. See, it's not the way that it works. It doesn't even work that way. We don't think that about our children. We don't think that about people. I never looked at my aunt and said, I wish you were more like my other aunt. I never said that. Just love them for who they are. I've never looked at Sharon and said, Sharon, I wish you were somebody else. I've never said that. And God doesn't do that. So us comparing is something that God doesn't even do. You ever try to put a wrong puzzle piece in a wrong spot on a puzzle? It's just like this square peg round hole thing. I've done it. You bite that corner off or something when you're a kid, or get a hammer or one of your hard toys and try to smash it in there. The reality is it doesn't fit, and secondly, it doesn't even look good when it's in the hole. Right? I mean, like, it belongs somewhere else, just like you. You belong. There's a place specifically for you. There's a fit designed just for you. And you may not be a corner piece. You might be that part of the tree or that part of the sky. But we need that part of the sky for the puzzle piece to be whole, for it to be full. There's a story in Exodus. Moses was caught. I don't know if you follow, if you're a Christian, you read the Bible. Moses was a man who really, by his own estimation, wasn't very talented or gifted at much of anything. And God, the great thing about what God does is that God says, you know what, I choose to use untalented, ungifted people to do incredible things. Why? Because it reflects my glory. It shows God's exceptional glory. And in Exodus chapter 6, verses 28 through 30, you can open your Bibles or your smartphones, or it'll be on the screens here for you. It says this: When the Lord spoke to Moses in Egypt, he said to him, I am the Lord. Tell Pharaoh, king of Egypt, everything I tell you. And verse 30 says, But Moses said to the Lord, Since I speak with faltering lips, why would Pharaoh listen to me? He's already saying, I'm not a good speaker. I've heard people speak well. I grew up in the house of the king, and I'm not one of those guys. That's what I said when they're like, oh, hey, you're going to teach. Hey, come help us pastor the church. Oh, by the way, you're going to teach on the weekend. I'm not one of those guys. I don't do that well. Don't ask me to do that. Moses says this. He says, since I speak with faltering lips, why would Pharaoh listen to me? Exodus chapter 7. That was the end of the chapter. Verse 1 through 7 says this. Then the Lord said to Moses, See, I have made you like God to Pharaoh, and your brother Aaron will be your prophet. You are to say everything I command you, and your brother Aaron is to tell Pharaoh to let the Israelites go out of this country. But I will harden Pharaoh's heart, and though I multiply my signs and wonders in Egypt, he will not listen to you. Then I will lay my hand on Egypt, and mighty acts of judgment I will bring out my division, my people, the Israelites. And the Egyptians will know that I am the Lord when I stretch out my hand against Egypt and bring the Israelites out of Egypt. Verse 6 says, Moses and Aaron did just as the Lord commanded them. Moses was 80 years old and Aaron 83 when they spoke to Pharaoh. See, I left that part in there. I could have ended earlier. But there are many of us say, like, we compare ourselves, right? I've heard this out of my mom's phenomenal at a lot of things that she does. Blows my mind. Sometimes I think she has more energy at, she's like 52 now, than I do at 40. Well, that would be really weird, wouldn't it? But anyhow, the math doesn't matter. My mom is really good at a lot of things that she does, and the reality is that I've heard her say to me, I'm too old for that. What did I just say? Moses was what? 80 years old. Aaron, 83. And they spoke to Pharaoh. Is God ever done with you? He's done with you when he's done with you. And when he's done with you, you'll know. Because you won't be here anymore. Okay? So we make these comparisons. Oh, I'm too old to do that. See, the Bible says Moses didn't speak well. Moses and Aaron were old. God said, I will make you like God to Pharaoh. See, he took an ordinary man with no speaking ability and made him like God. Why? Because God takes the small things of this world, the insignificant things in this world, to confound the wise. He does. He does incredible things. Why? So he can show that he's God. He can show these God. If we had a little 3-year-old come in here and he picked up 350 pounds right here, and I said it was somehow me channeling my energy into this kid, you would be amazed because 3-year-olds don't pick up 350 pounds. It's impossible. And what he told Moses and Aaron to do was an impossible task, but nothing is impossible with God if you be you. You be you. You be the puzzle piece, whether it's the sky or the dirt or the corner piece that everybody wants to start with because it's a good starting point. If you don't do puzzles, start with the corner piece and the edges. It makes things easier. You be you. See, if we compare ourselves and strive to be like others, we discard God's unique design for our own lives. You're not meant to be the mom down the street. You're not meant to be the dad that does everything all the time. You're meant to be you and work at being the best version of you that you can be. But stop comparing yourself to everybody else. If you're single, don't say, man, if I only had a family, I could do some things in this life. No, being single is oftentimes a blessing. You're unencumbered. You got freedom. I've told some of my single friends, I'm like, there are days where I just envy you because I could get so much more done if I didn't have the responsibility of family to wife and children and roof over the head and food for a family of 5 and all these things. I could do so much more. I'm not discounting the love and the, I love being a dad and a husband and all those things. And I wouldn't change a thing in the world. The reality is that's true. But I could also see in a parallel universe, me being single and accomplishing a lot of things. So being single is a blessing also. So don't compare yourselves to, if I was only married, I could do that. So I have a few things to say to you. Rest in who you are. Rest in who you are. The peace of God will land on your life squarely when you rest in who you are and stop comparing yourself to every person in your life. Because there's always things that people are going to be better. See, on the outside, we'll say, oh, wow, he's so... on the outside, we'll tear somebody down, right? Very easy. Oh, they're not as good as me. Look how I did. But on the inside, we're saying the exact opposite, right? They do so much better than I do. Stop comparing yourself. Rest in who you are. You be you. And then this is right here. Where is it? Growing things change. One of our core values. Growing things change. Strive to grow. Strive to be a better dad. Not based on somebody else's standards, but there are things that you can do better. Strive to be a better friend. Make those phone calls. Be a better encourager. Do those things that you know are right. How do we know they're right? Because God's told us to do those things. Encourage people well. Give yourself a break. You're only human. God doesn't expect you to be perfect. Mark 10:18 says this, why do you call me good? Jesus answered, no one is good except God alone. You're not perfect. You're not even good. It didn't say, why do you call me perfect? No one's perfect except God alone. It says, why do you call me good? No one's good except God alone. You're not even good, really. I'm not saying you're not good. You're great. God loves you and you're perfect in his eyes. But the reality is, with the standard of perfection, we mess up all the time. We're not even, batting 500. That's one sport where you can really be terrible at something and be really great at it. You miss 7 out of every pitches that you swing at, you don't hit. And it's like, oh, I bat 300. That's great. 30%, that's failure most everywhere else in life. That's a sidebar. There will always be someone better than you at something. Likewise, you'll always be better than somebody else at something. Why? Because you're that puzzle piece. You be great. It's John Maxwell. John Maxwell said, one of the problems that we do in life is we try to get better at the things we're bad at, and we don't spend much time getting really good at the things that we're good at. Because what they've done by studying people is they realize that if you have a natural ability in a specific area, maybe you're a gifted communicator or you're really organized. Let's say you're a 7 out of 10. It's really, or a 6 out of 10. It's far easier for you to become a 10 out of 10 in organization or a gifted communicator than it is from you to go from a 2 at something you're terrible at. Maybe you don't organize very well. Maybe you're kind of scatterbrained and things are just left all over the place. You can't find your keys. Now, for you to spend all of your energy trying to go from a 2 to a 4, it takes more energy to do that than to go from a 6 to a 10 in the things that you're good at. They know this by studying people. We know this by studying people. So do what you're good at. You're good at some things. You be you. If you be you and I be me, we will be who God has called us to be. I didn't even mean to make that rhyme, but I was reading through it again this morning. I'm like, that rhymes. If you be you and I be me, we'll be who God has called us to be. Because it's not on you to be the best. It's on us to be who God's called us to be. So how do we do that? We compare ourselves to one, the perfect one. And it's not a condemning comparison. It's okay, what was Jesus really good? He's good at loving people. I got to love people better. Jesus was really, really kind. Really kind. Could I grow in kindness? Yeah, I could grow in that. Could I care for people? But yeah, I could do that. Could I reach out to somebody who's in need more like Jesus reached out? Yeah. The reality is when we do that, we are what? We're following Jesus. And that's what being a follower of Christ is all about. It's not about having a shirt that says, I'm a Christian. It's being the person who follows in Jesus' footsteps. It's becoming more and more like him. It's Simon Says. Jesus says, be kind. So we are kind. That's how we do that. What does that look like? We got to show love instead of hate or disdain. So hard on social media, right? Like there's so much political junk going around there. It'd be so easy to jump into the conversation, put your viewpoint out there, or maybe just open your mouth up in front of some people that are talking about a political issue, or screaming at your radio in the car because you don't like the policies or whatever is going on. Screaming at your TV. Show love instead of hate or disdain. Show forgiveness instead of punishment. Mercy instead of judgment. So easy to judge other people. The Bible says that mercy triumphs over judgment. And if I were to add to that, mercy triumphs over judgment at restoring souls. That's what it triumphs over. It triumphs over judgment. When when mercy triumphs over judgment, that mercy restores souls. It restores people. And when we have patience instead of frustration or anger, I did not do well at that last night when I walked into my kids' room and there was stuff all over the floor. I have room to grow. But I'm not going to compare about what you did when you walked into your kids' room, or when you walked into work and it was a disaster and you own a business, or whatever that was. We have to be who God's called us to be and stop comparing ourselves to an ideal of ourselves to somebody else. We just got to stop. It sends us into the ditch every time. Can we bow our heads? Heavenly Father, I thank you for your truth and the truth in your word. I thank you for a community of people who are failing forward and reflecting you well. I thank you for the love and the mercy that you give us every single day, that we live in your constant mercy and grace as we fail forward, and you stand back and look at us and say that you're proud even in our worst moments of failure. I don't understand your love, God. I don't understand that kind of mercy, but I know that it feels really good on this side of it. God, I pray that we would be a people who give that kind of mercy and grace to others so that they can become a better them. They can become more like you. They can reflect you well, and they can play their role well so that your goals will be accomplished on this earth, that your kingdom will come, and that your will be done in every moment that we reflect you well, in loving instead of hating, in giving mercy instead of judgment, in forgiving instead of punishment. And as we do those well, God, you're going to bring souls to your kingdom and redeem people in the process. God, I thank you that we get to be a part of that process. I pray that if there's any guilt on anybody here, I pray that your Holy Spirit would just begin to dismantle those lies in their lives. I pray over the hearts that are heavy because they feel like they just don't measure up, or they should be further along in life than they are right now. They should have done things better. God, I pray that that guilt and shame would be lifted off of their life and they could live in freedom this morning, going forward in your freedom, so that they wouldn't be dismantled by that anymore. I thank you and praise you that you do work in our heart even when we don't know that it's happening. And I pray that you would supernaturally heal us and bring us closer together, that we would be a tight-knit unit, a tight-knit body, that when people see us, they say, man, I want to be a part of something great like that. I want to be loved like that, and I want to love others like that. That's a group of people I can buy into because we reflect you well. We ask all these things in your precious name. Amen.